What if that old Lincoln Wheat penny sitting in your drawer was worth thousands of dollars? These humble 1-cent coins, minted between 1909 and 1958, have become some of the most sought-after treasures in American coin collecting. From rare mint marks to shocking errors, some wheat pennies have sold for tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands, of dollars. In this video, we're diving into the fascinating world of Lincoln wheat pennies and revealing what makes certain ones so incredibly valuable. The 1953 Lincoln wheat penny, especially one in circulated condition with a distinct red shade, can be a real treasure for collectors. While millions of these pennies were minted, a coin with rich original red coloring, even in circulated condition, grabs attention and can command a much higher value. In rare cases, a red-shaded 1953 wheat penny has been valued as high as $80,000, depending on eye appeal, grade, and unique features. The red tone indicates that the coin has retained much of its original mint luster, which is extremely rare for coins that have been in circulation for decades. Most circulated wheat pennies take on a dull brown or dark copper tone over time. But when a coin keeps that fiery red tint, it shows minimal exposure to the elements and careful handling. That alone can increase its desirability. Even though the 1953 penny doesn't have a mint mark on some versions, meaning it was minted in Philadelphia, collectors often seek them if they show strong strike details, original coloring, and unique visual appeal. The coin's design features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, while the reverse displays the classic wheat stalks symbolizing agricultural strength, common to all Lincoln wheat pennies, minted from 1909 to 1958. Now, what really pushes this penny's value toward the $80,000 mark is a combination of things. First, if the coin is certified by a grading company like PCGS or NGC and gets a high grade like MS66 or higher with red designation, it becomes incredibly desirable. Second, if it has any mint errors, such as doubling in the date or lettering, off-center strikes or die breaks, its rarity increases even further. These error coins are highly collectible and often land in high-stakes auctions. Collectors from around the world are willing to pay premium prices for such visually striking and historically significant coins. The 1953 wheat penny is part of the post-war era coinage, a time when America was booming economically and coin collecting was gaining popularity. That historical backdrop also adds sentimental and collector value. So, if you happen to own a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny with a red shade and clear details, even if it's circulated, it's definitely worth examining closely. Get it evaluated, preferably professionally graded, because what may seem like an ordinary coin could actually be worth tens of thousands of dollars. The 1935 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a fascinating piece of American coinage history. Minted in Philadelphia, this coin carries no mint mark, which was standard for coins produced at that location during this period. Although tens of millions were struck, only a small number of well-preserved or unique examples remain in the market today, making certain specimens worth a surprising amount, even in circulated or rusty condition. At first glance, a rusty and circulated 1935 penny might not seem like much. However, collectors know that age, rarity, and minting errors can make even the roughest-looking coins incredibly valuable. In fact, specific 1935 wheat pennies have been known to fetch prices up to $90,000, especially if they contain rare errors or unusual characteristics. Let's look at what makes this coin special. The Lincoln Wheat Cent series, which ran from 1909 to 1958, is one of the most collected U.S. coin series in history. The 1935 penny is not particularly rare in general, with over 245 million struck at the Philadelphia Mint alone. However, coins that have survived the passage of time with interesting features, like die cracks, off-center strikes, double dies, or unusual toning, are highly prized. rust, and corrosion typically lower a coin's value. But in rare cases, if the coin still shows visible key details, such as Lincoln's facial features, date, and wheat stalks on the reverse, it may still attract strong interest. Some collectors even seek out rustic or natural wear coins as part of error or environmental damage collections. Another major factor in determining the value of a 1935 penny is if it exhibits any planchet flaws or if it was struck on the wrong metal. There have been instances of Lincoln cents struck on foreign planchets or steel blanks, creating extreme rarity. If authenticated, these off-metal strikes can command tens of thousands of dollars at auction. Also, collectors are willing to pay large sums for coins with strong historical context. A coin like this, minted during the Great Depression, adds emotional and historical value. For many collectors, owning a penny from this tough economic time, especially one that has clearly been handled and circulated, is like holding a piece of American resilience. So if you have a 1935 Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark that's circulated and rusty, don't toss it aside. Look closely. If the date is still readable and Lincoln's profile and the wheat ears are still distinguishable, it may be more than just pocket change. Unique toning, clear die errors, or planchet mistakes could elevate this coin's value dramatically. With authentication and grading from a reputable coin service, such a coin could easily be worth $90,000 in the right collector's hands, especially if it holds a story, a mystery, or a one-of-a-kind error that no other coin can replicate. The 1956 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of the last few coins produced in the iconic Wheat Penny series, which ran from 1909 to 1958. This particular coin, minted in Denver, as noted by the D mint mark below the date, is known to be quite common in general circulation. However, not all 1956 D pennies are created equal. Even in circulated condition, some rare examples have sold for as much as $60,000 to $80,000, depending on unique features. Let's break down what makes this coin potentially so valuable. Most 1956 D wheat pennies you'll find are worth only a few cents to a couple of dollars if they've been heavily circulated. But when a circulated coin retains strong detail and has certain rare characteristics, such as a double die error, a repunched mint mark, RPM, or even an unusual metal composition issue, its value can skyrocket. Collectors especially hunt for the 1956 D pennies with doubling on the date, Liberty, or In God We Trust. These doubling errors weren't intentional, but rather a result of misalignment in the die during the minting process. Coins with this kind of error are extremely scarce and often end up in high-grade collections or auction houses. Another factor is the coin's eye appeal. If the coin, even in circulated condition, shows original red or red-brown coloring, has minimal scratches, and maintains strong definition in Lincoln's hair and jacket, it can command a serious premium. Some circulated coins with RPM varieties, where the mint mark was punched more than once in slightly different positions, are also valuable and sought after. The 1956 D penny comes from an era when the U.S. Mint was producing coins in large numbers to support post-war economic expansion. But as millions of coins were struck, quality control issues allowed some error coins to slip through. These now represent the rare and prized finds in the coin collecting world. So if you have a 1956 D Lincoln Wheat penny that's circulated but still looks sharp, take a closer look. Check for doubling, inspect the mint mark, and see if the coin has a reddish tone that signals original mint luster. And if anything about the coin seems off, like unusual weight, strike, or shape, it may be an error coin. In today's market, such a 1956 D penny with a unique feature or strong visual appeal could absolutely be worth $60,000 to $80,000, especially if certified by a top grading service. What looks like just another old penny in your change jar could turn out to be a small fortune hiding in plain sight. The 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark is one of the most talked about coins in the numismatic world, and for good reason. This coin, minted in Philadelphia, may look ordinary at first, but some versions of it have become legendary. Even in circulated condition, a 1955 wheat penny can be worth an impressive $80,000, depending on certain factors like condition, rarity, and most importantly, errors. One of the biggest reasons this coin is so famous is because of the 1955 double die obverse variety. This error happened during the minting process, when the die that stamps the coin was misaligned, causing the design to appear doubled, especially the date and the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." That dramatic doubling is easily visible to the naked eye, even on worn and circulated examples. Now here's the catch. Most 1955 pennies are regular strikes and aren't worth much more than face value in average condition. But if you're holding a 1955 penny with clear doubling, even in a circulated state, it could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Some graded examples in lower condition still sell for $10,000 to $15,000, while high-grade or sharply doubled versions have sold for over $80,000 at auction. But what if your 1955 penny doesn't have the doubling? Is it still valuable? Actually, yes, it can be. A circulated 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny without the mint mark may not fetch $80,000 on its own unless it has unique attributes. However, error coins like those with off-center strikes, die cracks, lamination flaws, or rare plancher issues can bring serious value. Some rare error examples have been discovered and authenticated, raising their market worth significantly. Collectors are also drawn to the history behind the coin. 1955 was a year of post-war recovery in America. The Lincoln Wheat Penny design, featuring Lincoln on the front and wheat stalks on the back, was coming close to the end of its run. It would be replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse just 4 years later in 1959. For collectors, owning a coin from this transitional era carries both sentimental and historical value. Even if your 1955 penny isn't the famous double die version, it's still a part of coin collecting history. And if it has any signs of unusual striking, coloring, or texture, it's worth getting a closer look. Sometimes even circulated coins hide valuable surprises. So before you spend that old penny or leave it in a jar, take a moment. A simple 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny, especially without a mint mark and with the right error or condition, can turn out to be worth up to $80,000. That's a small coin with a huge story. The 1938 Lincoln Wheat Penny might seem like just another old coin at first glance, especially if it's not in great condition. But don't be too quick to judge, because even a worn-out 1938 wheat penny can carry a surprising value. This particular coin, minted in Philadelphia with no mint mark, has become a quiet treasure in the coin collecting world. Despite its condition, this coin can be worth up to $50,000 under the right circumstances. Let's talk about why. First, the 1938 penny was minted during the Great Depression era, a time when every cent counted. People held onto their change tightly, and coins weren't always treated with care. That's why it's common to see these coins in circulated and damaged condition. Scratches, wear, discoloration, and even rust aren't unusual. But even in that rough state, collectors still seek out 1938 wheat pennies because they represent an important period in American history. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 156 million Lincoln pennies that year, so it's not the mintage alone that makes this coin valuable. What does make a 1938 penny worth up to $50,000 is its rarity in high grades or the presence of rare minting errors. Error coins are where the magic happens. If your 1938 penny has an error like an off-center strike, double die, repunched mint mark, or lamination flaw, collectors will pay a premium. Some of these flawed coins have fetched thousands, even tens of thousands at auction. Even a minor doubling on "In God We Trust," or the date could turn your coin into a treasure. Another factor that can boost its value is the coin's color and tone. A reddish-brown hue from oxidation or even unusual tones caused by storage conditions can attract collector interest, especially if it creates a unique or eye-catching appearance. Now, you mentioned the condition is not good, which usually means it's heavily circulated. While that typically lowers the value, it doesn't completely eliminate the chance of it being rare. The coin's metal composition, 95% copper, means it could still have a strong collector appeal, especially if it has sharp details or shows a distinct mint error. Collectors love coins that tell a story, and this 1938 Lincoln Wheat Penny tells a story of resilience, history, and hidden value. It reminds us that you don't always need a perfect shiny coin to hold something truly special. If your coin has the right rarity or an error that sets it apart from the rest, its value could reach $50,000 or more, even in rough condition. So, before you overlook that worn-out old penny, remember, sometimes the most valuable coins are the ones that have been through the most.